What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Call of Duty World War II on BlackTideTV. In today's video, we're looking at some buffs and nerfs that need to happen for the game. This is my personal list, and there's probably going to be a bunch of things on here that you'll disagree with. You might agree with some things, but I'd love to hear from you guys in the comment section down below. As I go through the list, just think of what you would like to see buffed and nerfed and fixed and whatever in an upcoming patch for Call of Duty World War II. Let me know in the comment section down below because I'd love to hear your opinion on this stuff as well. Of course, it's not just one person's plan. It's not like we're all going to agree that this specific thing needs to be buffed and this specific thing needs to be nerfed. We all play the game differently. We all experience the game differently based on connection, based on what we prefer in using weapons. A lot of people might like a weapon that's, I might think, is the worst gun in the entire game. Sawed off. But there's things that we'll agree on, things that we will disagree on, and I just want to hear the variety in the conversation because the game's pretty new. It hasn't even been out for a month, and there's already been one patch, and they've already fixed a bunch of stuff, which I've already discussed in a previous video. But there's a lot of things that they still need to fix, in my opinion. So we're just going to go over everything. I've got a couple weapon ideas, some division stuff. Not too much in the way of equipment, except for the main grenade and the concussion, like the two main grenades, I guess you could call them. I want to talk about them a little bit. And I've also got some basic training stuff and then just some general fixes at the end. A couple score streaks in there as well. So without further ado, let's jump into some buffs and nerfs that need to happen for Call of Duty World War II. Number 1, the sawed-off shotgun. This is the Prestige Award for hitting first Prestige with your Expeditionary Division. The sawed-off shotgun is without a doubt the worst gun in the entire game. Even in hardcore, you'll find yourself getting hit markers. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's the worst gun ever. It needs to have some kind of buff to its damage, its reload speed, and its ammo capacity. Funnily enough, in core game modes, you're most of the time going to take both shots because it's a double barrel shotgun to get a kill. And then it takes so long to reload. But the thing is, it only has 12 shells. So you can get 6 kills with the gun before you have to swap off. We'll hear more about it in my weapon review, but it's mostly best used as a secondary weapon, but even still, it needs something happening with it. The double barrel shotgun, or not the double barrel, but the sawed off double barrel shotgun, it's just so bad, and it needs something going for it if it's going to be the prestige weapon. It's supposed to be like this amazing weapon that you work so hard to get. It needs to be better. So just buff it any way that you can see fit. The bar did have a quote-unquote nerf where they reduced the fire rate slightly, which, if we're being honest, just made it more accurate. So I would say that the bar 3-shot kill range and possibly the recoil or idle sway needs to be nerfed farther. The weapon has a better 3-shot kill range and performs better in close quarters combat than any SMG in the game, more or less. It's like ridiculous. It'll drop people so quickly. It's very accurate, very easy to use. That 3-shot kill range, like I said, is absolutely ridiculous. It needs a shorter 3-shot kill range so more SMGs can outperform it in closer ranges, or it just needs to have like ridiculous idle sway. It's already one of the highest idle sway assault rifles in the game, but I'm talking make it ridiculous, make it absurd so that it's like so hard to use at long ranges that you really have to use it like an SMG and just confine it to one area, because right now it's effective at close range, it's effective at long range. It's the best gun in the game right now, borderline on par with the PPSH, but the PPSH is more of like an all-around weapon that it's kind of got its good things and its bad things, but it's the whole point of the PPSH is that it's good at everything but not bad at anything. The bar needs to have some kind of specific thing that it's bad at. The SVT-40, another prestige weapon. This one you get for prestiging your infantry division for the first time. It's a semi-auto. It's kind of like the M1 Garand, except worse. It's really hard to control. It's got a lot of recoil, and it fires very slowly. It is a 2-shot kill, so it makes sense that they're balancing things pretty well, but I would say they need to increase the rate of fire slightly, because you can put rapid fire on it, and with rapid fire it feels really good, but increase the rate of fire slightly, and increase the reserve ammo capacity, because you'll find yourself running out of ammo with that weapon very quickly. I think it holds 10 shots in the chamber, or in the magazine I should say, and then there's like 30 in reserve, but you'll find yourself flying through ammo because the weapon is so inaccurate. The M1 bazooka, this is a launcher of course, and it needs its blast radius buffed. Unless you direct impact an enemy, it's not supposed to be an infantry launcher to begin with. You're supposed to use it for shooting down air support, which isn't easy either, but when you're using it to attack infantry, it needs to be more, well, like a launcher. Like if a bazooka landed right next to you, you're gonna die. Like, I'm not saying that it should kill people, but it should at least give you hit markers. Right now, unless you're getting a direct impact, you're not going to even get a hit marker on an enemy. So I think the blast radius for the M1 bazooka needs to be buffed. The Panzer is okay, but the bazooka definitely needs a blast radius buff. Now on to equipment. Grenade damage, blast radius, and throw distance all needs to be nerfed. The grenades are extremely powerful in this game. It's like Modern Warfare Remastered all over again. Grenades will kill you from a considerable distance away, even when they're not even blinking red. I find that I'm getting killed by grenades. And of course you can use the armored division, you can use certain basic trainings, but the grenades just in general should be nerfed in terms of damage, blast radius, and even throw distance, because you can throw those things fairly far across the map. Like, you can get that thing halfway across the map on most maps without even using Expeditionary Division. Next up, concussion. So this is the other grenade that I wanted to talk about. The concussion, the base British N69, I think it's called. The fuse length needs to be reduced. So this is a buff. I think it should go off sooner, because you throw that thing and you're expecting it to go off like right away, like older stun grenades, but you throw it and then it's like, is it going to go off? Is it going to go off? And by the time it goes off, whoever was in that room that you threw the concussion in, they've run out and they've killed you. It's like a 5-second fuse. It should only be like a 2-second fuse or like a 1-second fuse. You throw it and it detonates fairly quickly. Like, that's the way the concussion should work. In terms of basic trainings, espionage already got nerfed. However, it got nerfed in a stranger way. Like, it was 10-second duration. Now it's like a 6-second duration, and you can only mark enemies with bullet damage. I would have nerfed espionage in a different way so that it only activates for you. So espionage tracks people that you damage on your minimap. What it would make sense to do is when you shoot them, it tracks them on your minimap instead of tracking on the whole team's minimap. But unfortunately, the challenge for espionage is to get assists with espionage, so I guess that doesn't make sense. But just moving on from that one, that was just like a afterthought to the list. Launched basic training. This is just an overall fix. Launched basic training needs to be removed from the game. Launchers should just be an active secondary that you can have on your class at any point. I know this is asking a lot because there's challenges built into the game, and the whole game is kind of built on this system. But launched basic training is the stupidest thing in this whole game, that you can't use a launcher unless you're restricting yourself in terms of class build to use that launcher. I get that you can resupply launcher ammo if you kill people, if you're using launch basic training, but you should just be able to have a launcher as your secondary weapon, because it's just further making less and less people using the launchers, which I think the launchers were a big part of like the World War II and the accuracy and whatever. Like, I think it would make more sense if more people were using launchers. And we can't do that because the launchers, it's such a bad idea to use the launch basic training over literally any other basic training. Expeditionary Division, now we're into the fun stuff. The Expeditionary Division, incendiary rounds, drop-off damage, ammo capacity, and the first mag being loaded needs to be buffed. In the beta, I think a lot of people complained about expeditionary rounds without actually looking into them at all. A lot of people in this game, and this is going to be the one that everyone disagrees with me on, a lot of people in this game play SMGs and rifles only, and then when they get killed by shotguns, they yell and they scream and they cry and bitch and moan, and they say, oh, the shotguns are too good, they killed me, oh, he hit me with fire damage and I died. And yes, I'm making a baby voice because it's fucking annoying to hear people talking about this stuff. It burns me to my core when someone says, the shotguns are too powerful in this game. The incendiary rounds are too powerful in this game. Have you ever used a shotgun with Expeditionary Division in this game? It's fucking horrible. The Expeditionary rounds, I haven't confirmed this, but I've it on very, very good standing that they reduce the range of your shotguns. They're terrible. You're better off not using incendiary rounds on your shotguns to get kills, because you're going to get one-shot kills galore when you're not using incendiary rounds. The whole point of incendiary rounds is to hit them and have them die a couple seconds later. Don't ask me why. I don't know why that's in the game, but that's the whole point of incendiary rounds. An Expeditionary Division is terrible. It's the worst division in the game overall, hands down. There, I said it. Can't you wait for the divisions breakdown videos that I'm going to be doing and talking about how all the divisions work. Expeditionary Division is going to be a joke because Expeditionary Division is the worst. I'm going off on a little tangent here, but it's so bad. So when you hear people bitching and whining and complaining and moaning that incendiary rounds are too strong and shotguns are too strong, I don't know what to even say to these people because they're so bad. So what I'm proposing here is increased damage for the incendiary rounds drop off. So like you shoot them, not increased initial damage, but increased damage as they kind of walk away and take a little bit extra fire damage when it does that tss, tss, tss. When it's doing that, it should be doing more damage because I think it only does like something between 5 and 10 damage for each hit marker. 9 times out of 10, when I'm getting incendiary hits, I'm only getting hits and I'm not getting kills. So it's only really good for getting assists. It should also, if you're using Expeditionary Division, you should get a full every single bullet in your magazine, in your reserve ammo should be Expeditionary rounds. If I'm using the Expeditionary rounds, the incendiary rounds attachment, I should have every single attachment or every single bullet an incendiary round. Same thing as like if you were going to use like a high caliber, like the hollow point bullets or whatever. High caliber, every bullet is high caliber, not just the first 4 bullets. So if I'm using incendiary rounds, every single round that I have should be an incendiary round, not just 4. And on top of that, if they're not even going to do that, the first magazine needs to be loaded with expeditionary or incendiary rounds. Every time you spawn in, you have to reload your gun, and if you're being spawn trapped, if you're in a situation where you're going to get killed really quickly off spawn, if you're playing free-for-all, it is very, very difficult to spawn in, reload your weapon with expeditionary rounds or incendiary rounds, and then go and get the kill. Right now, it just loads you with regular ammo, and it's a pain in the ass. I'm so sick of seeing the reload animation on my shotgun because I have to keep switching my magazine every single time I spawn. It's disgusting. So yes, Expeditionary Division incendiary rounds need a super, super hard buff, and everyone can stop bitching and complaining about it. Infantry Division bayonet charge sprint delay. I don't know if you've noticed, but if you're using the bayonet charge on the Infantry Division, if you actually charge at someone and hit them, there's a huge sprint delay once you hit them. Once you get the kill, you can't sprint again, you can't bayonet charge again for a considerable amount of time, like 5, maybe even 10 seconds. You run and you charge, and then you're just like stuck there. You can't even like really run. It's like you're walking. And if there's like another enemy there or whatever, you're going to be screwed. The way that it should work is you sprint, you stab the guy, and you can sprint again. So you can actually chain bayonet charges. It could get potentially toxic, but it's the way it should work. There shouldn't be like this huge sprint delay, even when you're using energetic, which allows you to sprint again sooner. There's a sprint delay. So there should not be a sprint delay when you do your bayonet charge. I think that's just a little bug that needs to be fixed. In terms of score streaks, we've got the mortar strike. I want to see an increased area of effect on the mortar strike because as of right now, it's kind of like the M1 bazooka. You have to like pretty well pinpoint the position that you want that mortar strike to come in on, and you have to land that thing on top of someone's head to get a kill. To this day, I haven't had a single kill with mortar strike, and I've only ever been killed by mortar strike once since the game came out, and I've seen plenty of people try to use mortar strike. It's good for objective-based game modes where you just like drop it directly on B if your enemy is taking B at this second, but apart from that, you have to be so accurate that it completely defeats the point of the mortar strike. The mortar strike needs to have a larger area of effect so that when the missile comes down, when the mortar comes down and hits the ground, it does more damage. Even if it does splash damage and doesn't kill everyone, it should come down and hit and damage everyone in like a pretty big area of effect. Not artillery area of effect, but a bigger area of effect so that you can actually, I don't know, get a kill or at least an assist with the mortar strike. Flak guns. So flak guns you use are kind of like the EMP from previous games. You use them to destroy any aerial support, like any enemy air streaks. So UAVs, counter UAVs, you can use it against fighter pilots. I'm pretty sure it'll kill. It'll also kill the ball turret gunner and the carpet bomb. I'm not sure if it works on the carpet bomb. And why am I not sure that it works on a lot of things? That's because I barely ever see anyone using them because it's such a high streak. I believe flak guns come in at 950 right now, and this has always been a problem with the EMP in previous games. EMP was always so hard to get, and the whole point of getting an EMP is to stop your enemies from getting streaks. So if your enemies are going on a tear and they're getting ball turret gunners and carpet bombs that you need the flak guns to take down, you're probably not doing good enough to get flak guns. So I'm saying reduce the cost for flak guns down to about 750, 800. I think that's a much more suitable area to get the flak guns. And the flak guns also, I don't know if you've noticed this, but if you activate them, your enemies literally cannot activate their streaks. So it's not like an old EMP. I believe even during an old EMP, people could still call in their streaks and they'd just be instantly destroyed if you were stupid enough to call them in. The flak guns, they don't even let you call anything in anymore. Same with the counter UAV. If the counter UAV is up, you cannot activate your UAV like you could in previous games. So it's kind of weird how that works, but it's just something to point out as well. The ball turret gunner. Speaking of the ball turret gunner, I think it should unlock at an earlier level. There are plenty of levels between like 45 and 55 when you prestige where you don't unlock anything. Like there's a couple levels that you hit and it's like, yeah, I'm like level 51 now. Unlocks nothing. And you're like, well, that was kind of a waste. Meanwhile, the ball turret gunner, which is one of my favorite streaks, if not my absolute favorite streak in the entire game, the ball turret gunner unlocks at level 53, if I'm not mistaken. I bought it with a prestige unlock token, but it unlocks at level 53. Nobody is going to use it when it unlocks at level 53 because most people won't even know that it unlocks because they probably aren't looking at their menu when they're level 53. They're too busy thinking like, I got to get into another game to prestige. So no one's going to really notice that it unlocked. And even if you did notice it unlocked, not a lot of people are good enough at the game to get a 1700 streak in the next 2 levels before they prestige. And again, people aren't confident enough in their abilities to use a prestige unlock token on the ball turret gunner and then use it like throughout their time playing in lower levels like I did. So ball turret gunner should unlock somewhere between level 45 and 50. Like it should unlock sooner so people have a better chance of using it in the long haul. Last but not least, I have 2 small fixes that kind of have nothing to do with anything. They're more just like general gameplay fixes, and the first is idle sway. I don't know if you've seen Drifter's video on this. It's where I learned about it, and I was always kind of wondering because the idle sway is a little off in this game, but I would definitely recommend you head over to Drifter's channel and check that out. Not that I'm plugging him or anything, but the idle sway in this game is completely broken in comparison to other Call of Duty games. When you aim down sights, there is 0 idle sway on pretty much every gun in the game for about like 0.5 of a second. And then there's a huge launch of idle sway off in a random direction. Your gun's just going to sway like crazy. And that's about the time when you're going to start shooting at people. So when you start shooting at someone, your idle sway is just going to take you away in some random direction, and then it will resume its normal idle sway. So the idle sway, just in general, on pretty much every weapon in the entire game, needs an overhaul so that it doesn't have this initial jolt of idle sway off into a random direction, because that's how a lot of people are losing their gunfights. They're totally prepared to kill an enemy that's about to come around that corner, they aim down their sights, and then right as the enemy comes around the corner, their idle sway takes off and they can't kill him, and it's just a pain in the bumhole. And last but not least, the final fix that just needs to happen is Team Shell Shock. Apart from Hardcore, where it probably should be happening, Shell Shock is basically when there's an explosion nearby that doesn't hurt you, you get like this effect, and it's like your whole screen goes into slow motion. You can't really move at full speed. Your screen turns gray. This happens like if you're being hit by a friendly artillery barrage, like if you're in the middle of it. If you're pretty close to a grenade, of course it should happen if you're being attacked by enemy weapons, but it's almost like a hardcore effect in core modes. If you're under an artillery barrage, if you're under a mortar strike, if you're under any kind of explosive, a carpet bomb, a fire bomb, if your teammates are throwing concussions near you, it's affecting you as well, and it's a total pain in the ass. I don't want to be concussed by my teammates, and I've never had to worry about it in previous games. It's silly. The Team Shell Shock, it makes sense, it's realistic, but usually they keep these team-based things in hardcore only, where like, if you throw a concussion in hardcore, your teammates are also going to be concussed. Normally in Call of Duty Pass, that doesn't affect you in core game modes, only hardcore. So it would be great if they could take Team Shell Shock out of the game as well. But that is my very extensive list of things that just kind of popped into my brain while I've been playing this game over the last couple weeks. I'd love to hear from you guys what you think needs to be buffed and nerfed in Call of Duty World War II. It's a really new game, and there still is a lot of work to be done here. They actually today just reinitialized the social headquarters, so it's pretty cool. I've been playing some 1v1s and whatever, but there are a lot of basic weapon balance, score streak, equipment, all that kind of stuff needs to be balanced a little bit better. And as we go forward throughout Call of Duty World War II. So like I said, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Also in the comment section, did you spot the hidden Astro logo in today's video? If you did and you comment the correct timestamp first, you will be given 5 entries in my Astro Gaming giveaway. Hit the like button if you enjoyed today's video, subscribe if you are new to the channel, and I will catch you guys on the next video. Don't forget to head over to my Twitter page. I forgot yesterday to plug my Twitter poll for the next weapon review. I'll be doing that today, so I'm posting the poll today. Head over there and vote on which weapon you'd like to see next in my weapon review series.